Welcome into the final Hog Zone with Locked On. Alex Stewart, Nick Luttrell, John Nabors, as always. Fellas, same story, different week. Hogs lose 31-17. This time, though, to Missouri. I'm guessing we'll touch a little bit on that. I mean, we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't recap just a bit, but something tells me the majority of this show will be focused on the future. But let's start very quickly with the game. Arkansas loses. Missouri racked up 322 yards on the ground through just 7 passes for 25 yards. I think we all knew that it was going to come down to the Hogs' run defense against the Missouri rushing offensive attack. That's exactly what happened, and it went about as well as expected.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised that Arkansas didn't run the ball more. When you're talking about them offensively, that's something that's been their go-to thing. That's been their bread and butter on offense all season long. And it seemed like early on in this game, they didn't commit to run the ball. They just threw the ball with KJ Jackson on the first drive, and then seemed to commit to that, even though it was a game in which it was wet conditions. You figure maybe run the ball a little bit more. They didn't do that, so I think that's an important aspect to look at this as well too. Obviously, the defense had their issues, but when Petrino talked about it in the post-game press conference, he said, hey, defense really loses the game. They held their own. The touchdown was a special teams touchdown, and Arkansas, they put up 17 points. 7 of those came from the defense. So obviously a lot of issues, but I think that's one of them that's you got to point out there is they've ran the ball so well this year, and they didn't early on in this game. I think that played into them losing.
John, Nick brought up kind of an interesting point there very early on, glossed over. For fans that might not have seen, KJ Jackson got the start over Taylon Green today. Was that expected? And what you saw from him, did you like it?
Well, I mean, what we saw from him was supposed to happen according to Bobby Petrino. Right. So, I mean, we have to take him at his word, right? I mean, it has to be 100% true. But I felt like there would be both quarterbacks playing in this. And I get what Bobby Petrino was saying, hey, like, this is Taylon Green's last game. Let's get him in there. It's his last time to be a Razorback, last time to play college. Let's try him out. But me and Nick were kind of talking. It's like, so why wouldn't you just start him? Yeah. Why not just go, I guess maybe to say that, hey, KJ's got an official start under his belt. So when he probably hits the portal, maybe something like that. I don't really know, but there's a lot of things that's happened this season I don't really know how to explain. So this was just a great microcosm of the entire season.
Well, to your point, you would think it would be the other way around, right? Taylon Green would get the start, get one drive under his belt, say, hey, he started every game in his senior year. He got to start on senior day, and then pull him out after the one drive, put KJ in. To me, the juggling of quarterbacks was kind of the interesting thing. Yeah. There didn't seem to be any rhyme or rhythm to what Petrino was doing with the quarterbacks. Now, normally when it comes to a dual quarterback setup for coaches, they go with, quote unquote, the hot hand, but neither quarterback really established themselves as the hot quarterback today. Nick, what did you make of what Petrino was doing, how he was handling it? Did you find any sort of pattern in the obscurity?
No, and I think that's another big reason why they weren't able to get things going offensively, because neither quarterback really looked amazing, and neither quarterback looked really bad. If Taylon Green would have made one of his big Taylon Green mistakes where he just doesn't see the guy and throws it to the other team or holds the ball out here, I think maybe he would have got benched and KJ Jackson comes in. Or if KJ makes a big mistake, then something would have happened there. But neither one of those things happened. They were both just kind of mid, and that's what led it to just be. I think maybe Petrino didn't know who to play, and he just was like, hey, this is my last ride. This is y'all's last ride probably as Razorbacks. For Taylon, that's the case. For KJ, it might be. And he wanted to say, hey, Taylon Green, here's your last moment as a Razorback, as a senior. You're going to play out there. For KJ, it was like, hey, KJ, get some more tape for those other coaches to look at you and for those other coaches to go get you out of the transfer portal.
That's the thing, right? You said it's probably the final game for KJ hitting the portal. We don't know that, not saying for sure, but it is for sure the final ride for Taylon Green and 32 other seniors along with him. John, as we look back and kind of reflect on this season, I know it's difficult, but what can you say about this year, what those seniors have done, sort of the legacy they leave behind, maybe not necessarily this season, but through the duration of their time at Arkansas?
Well, I think every single player is a little bit different, because like a guy like Cam Ball, who's been around a long time and has been at Arkansas, maybe means a little bit different than Omega Blake, which is not to say that one thing means more than the other, but if you've been a player that's been here for a long time, it's much different than a player that's just doing a one-year deal. So, but here's the deal, is that you had a lot of plans going into this season of what you wanted this team to look like, and the amount of things that this team went through. You can't sit there and tell me that Michael Washington or Omega Blake or any of these guys that came in, this was what they were expecting. Their coach to get fired in the middle of the season, and then the interim to come in, and then them to lose every single one-possession game in so many different ways possible. This was not what anybody wanted or expected. So it's just unfortunate because this is going to be something that everyone wants to delete from their memory. And, you know, the players, depending on what they do, especially the guys that when it was their final collegiate start and playing time, I just really hope that they at least had something to hold their hat on this year. I don't know what it would be because it ain't winning. But hopefully there was something that they enjoyed and they could remember fondly of their experience at Arkansas.
You pointed out all the one-score losses they had throughout the course of the year. You've heard it said, and it really is kind of like a participation trophy, but they might be the best two-loss team in the history of college football. Coming into this one, they had a plus 3-point differential, which is unheard of for the record that they had. But in the end, that 2-10 record, 0-8 in SEC play is the final. But that 2-10 record tied for the worst record in program history. Nick, do you think that, and this might be a weird question, is indicative of this team? Because there was talent there. There was a lot of success there. It just didn't translate into the results they wanted.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't feel as bad as the Chad Morris era. The program as a whole might be in about the same condition, which is just really bad, and you just want to burn everything and move on. It's possible, but the team as a whole, I think if you had this team going up against some of the Chad Morris teams, I think this team would win by multiple touchdowns. And we've seen them compete with some really good teams this season that are going to be in the college football playoff. And they didn't win those games, but they kept it close. And at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. What matters is the record on and how you finish, and that's only 2 wins for Arkansas this season. But if we're comparing it, or if we're saying, you know, this is, you know, as bad as, you know, this particular season was, I don't think it's as bad as it has been in the past.
Well, I can tell you this, it's worse for me. I'm just going to disagree with you.
Okay.
And the reason is because at least with the Chad Morris era, it was a disaster. It was so bad. But when you get so close time and time and time and time again, it's like you're doing all the right things. You're trying really hard. You have so many good things going. You just can't close out. And that's like the most horrible tease you can get each and every game. And it wasn't the same way. It was so many different. It was just a complete and total, like, mind-blowing experience, roller coaster, where you kept getting invested. They'd pull you in only to snatch it all away at the very end. So it's just an exhausting season. That's the best way to describe it. It's been an exhausting football season.
But if this year's team played the Chad Morris team.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Yeah. But I agree. As a fan, it's more like gut-wrenching to be in these close games
No
and
doubt.
to just have it pulled out from underneath you, like that, like 6, 7 out of the 10 of their losses have been.
Well, one, I think maybe my favorite quote of the season, I attributed it to you. I don't know if you're the one who actually said it, but they find new and creative ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And I don't know that you can describe this team much better than that. Just creative ways of losing football games, up by 14 or 17 in the fourth quarter, lead gone. Back and forth, shootout, lose in the fourth quarter because of a dumb turnover. It's just, it was mistake after mistake. And I think maybe the word to describe this Arkansas team is almost. This year's team is almost. They were almost good. They almost won the game. They were almost something, but in the end, almost means nothing. However, we are almost at the end of our coaching search for the Arkansas Razorbacks' next head coach. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break.
Hog Zone with Locked On Razorbacks is sponsored by Bet Saracen, Arkansas's favorite sports betting app.
Welcome back into Hog Zone with Locked On. Alex, Nick, John, we're going to jump right into it after recapping, if you missed the first segment, Arkansas losing 31-17 to Missouri, bringing the season to a close, which means we can now fully focus on the Arkansas head coaching search. No more distractions with this playing the game of football thing that we have to do every Saturday. Obviously, the big name that was floating around earlier this week, Alex Golesh, a couple other names in there, Kane Womack. Maybe John Gruden still hiding in the shadows. I'm fingers crossed for the memeability of that happening. But, John, we were talking during the break. You seem to think that Alex Golesh is the guy, and if they can't close the deal down with him, it's going to move to Kane Womack.
Yeah, this is going to sound like the most duh statement ever. He's the guy until he's not.
Yes.
I mean, but that's truly how the coaching search has gone. I think that when all those reports started coming out, it was extremely premature. And listening to Alex Golesh's press conference tonight, he was not happy about it. They had a big win against Rice with South Florida, and he was saying, it's not true. I have not made my decision. He's going somewhere. It's just, is Arkansas going to be the destination? Yeah. Lane Kiffin looks like he's going to be going to LSU. And if that happens, does that open up that Ole Miss job to where Golesh is more interested in it? It's about dominoes. And that's why the next 24 to 48 hours could be some of the most chaotic craziness in college football. And Arkansas is just going to be one of the dance partners in this whole thing. It's just a matter of, do they end up with the girl that they asked out first, or are they going to have to end up with whatever's left over? That's kind of the situation Arkansas finds themselves in.
Or are they on option 6, 7? If you ask Hunter Yurichek on
I'm about
ESPN.
to leave.
Look, I'm not condoning it. We all saw it. It had to be acknowledged. We couldn't let it go unnoticed.
Sure.
Sorry. Won't happen again, folks. But, Nick, what are your thoughts on it? Because Lane Kiffin kind of is the linchpin. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if we get off the desk after this show and he was waiting to see how the Iron Bowl shook out to kind of make his decision, which Alabama won. So it will be Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship game. Ole Miss, likely a playoff team, probably hosts a home game now. Let's say Lane decides to go like the sentiment is leaning. Do you think that changes what happens here with Golish? Do you think he's still coming to the Hill, or where are you going with this one?
I think it does change, obviously. I think, as John mentioned, it's a domino effect. If Lane Kiffin goes to LSU, Ole Miss opens up. Apparently, Ole Miss might want Alex Golish as well. And if he's choosing between Ole Miss and Arkansas, he's probably going to choose Ole Miss. I mean, even though he's got the whole wife being from Greenwood thing, like that's connection is fun. But at the end of the day, if you want to go to a better program, if you want to win more football games, if you want to get more money, it's probably going to Oxford. And that stinks to say, but I think that's the truth of where both of these programs are right now. Unless he wants to come to Arkansas and the stakes not be as high, and for us to be content with him winning 8 games next year, we'd be great with that. At Ole Miss, they wouldn't be so happy with that.
Well, and the biggest thing, too, is that you don't want to get in the same situation that you found yourself in when you hired Sam Pittman, where there were other jobs in the SEC. I believe there were 4 other jobs that opened up, and you ended up with not any of them that you actually wanted. It's almost like you got your 5th option. It's potentially could be that, because if Lane goes to LSU, then you still have Ole Miss, Auburn. We'll see what they do. As you mentioned, Florida's still going to have somebody. And among all those schools, you're bottom of the totem pole right now. So you could just end up kind of looking back and be like, well, I guess we'll have to take what's left. That's kind of what happened with Pittman, and that's kind of why you're in the situation that you're in. So it could be a very dangerous ground we're entering right now.
Well, and a name that might find its way sort of siphoning back in would be Ryan Silverfield. If those other options start going, if Kane maybe decides, say, I want to stick at Alabama, or Arkansas decides he's not the guy, Ryan Silverfield, I believe that one was one of the first leaks that we heard was Ryan Silverfield is going to be the next head coach of Arkansas. And then that cooled down real quick, kind of went by the wayside with some premature reporting. But as you were kind of saying, both of you guys, it's like AC/DC said, money talks. It's all about the funding. Can you not only pay the coach, but can you pay the athletes? And after the statement that Hunter Yurichek made in acknowledging, no, we did not give Sam Pittman the funding that he needed to succeed here, it's got to be a massive red flag for any coach that's looking at this job and potentially coming here.
Yeah, the second part of his statement, though, when he did say that was, but in the future we will, or like right now we will, which you can look at that multiple ways. Does it mean the donors just didn't want to pay for Sam Pittman, and maybe they will for a future coach? Is he just saying that because he realized what he said 5 seconds before that, and like, actually, we'll be good going forward? Like, what did he mean when he said that? Maybe we'll find out to see, these contract details if it's Alex Golish, if it's Ryan Silverfield.
Well, the biggest thing is when he also talked about Hunter Yurichek, that is not entering into that third lane. Because I'm telling you right now, if I'm a big-time coach that's coming in and interviewing at Arkansas, my first question is going to be, how do you expect me to compete in the SEC if you're not going to get into that third lane? Because you say everybody else is in it, so how can I succeed here if you're not going to do that? That's the biggest question I'm sure that Hunter Yurichek and everybody involved had to ask. And if you don't have a clear-cut answer of like, well, here's how we can get you to compete. Every coach wants to win at the highest level. They want to be in an SEC school. But if you walk in and be like, well, here's the thing, we're not going to. So if you could just do your best here, then it's going to be great. That's not what any coach wants to hear. That's not a good recruiting pitch. You have to be able to not only say, but show you are going to be fully financially supported. You're going to have as much money to compete in the SEC as anybody. And you can do it here at Arkansas. And anything short of that, you're just going to end up with right back where you started, another very average to below average program.
Look, I absolutely hate, and I think a lot of people hate, that this is the state of college football, that it's pay to win, essentially. If you got the most money, you get the best talent, and you're going to be the most competitive team. I personally miss the days where college football felt pure, where like it was just kids playing for the love of the game to try and get to the next level. And what you showed on the field with no matter what program you were with was what people wanted to see and is what established you at the next level.
Well, let me tell you something. I felt like when the NIL and everything came in, this was Arkansas's best chance to narrow the gap to the Georgias, the LSUs, the Alabamas. It was their best chance to do it, and they didn't do it. But you know who did? Ole Miss did,
Yeah.
Indiana did, Arizona State did, Texas A&M, all these other programs that may have been on the same playing field as Arkansas, they went into it, and now you see with the position that they're in, and that's what makes it so much more frustrating is because you feel like if you're Arkansas, there's still time, but you just felt like you got so behind, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of efforts to try to catch up when you see other programs like the Missouris, the Ole Misses of the world, right in the position, fighting for playoff spots, and you're over here just hoping that you can go back to the Liberty Bowl.
But the positive to that, with this the way college football is these days, is a year or two from now, it can be completely flipped.
That's true, yeah.
And I'm not saying the whole program will be fine, but I mean, you can flip it with getting a good head coach hire. It's possible. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's possible. When 5 or 10 years ago, if you have a really bad program, it takes a few years to rebuild. Indiana was horrible, and they got a good coach, and I guess they probably got people to help pay for that new coach and players, and all these things started working together. Then you win games, and then you put one thing on top of another, and you have a really good program all of a sudden.
Well, and Arkansas, believe it or not, you might not think it, but I mean, they're in a position to close that gap that you were talking about, John, quickly. I don't know if you people know this or not, but 3 of the richest families, Arkansas, if you can get them to invest, if you can get them passionate, if you can get the right guy in, all of a sudden that money gap starts shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. You can start getting the players in, and then the competitive level starts catching up, and you're hanging right in there with LSU, with Alabama, with Georgia, with Ole Miss.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Nobody became a millionaire by being stupid with money. And so you're not going to have these people, these rich families, which I agree with you. Arkansas does have a lot of them. They're not just going to invest into something that there's not going to be a return on.
Right.
And if they've been investing into programs and they're not seeing the wins come along with it, then you come back the next year and be like, hey, still good for that cool $1 million you gave us? And they're like, no, because I gave it to you last year and I got nothing from it. So it's a matter of selling them on the vision and having a plan and an organization to push forward. And as soon as you do that, it'll come with it. But you just can't just expect them just to be like, hey, give us money because, yeah, you got plenty of it. That's just not a good game plan.
Have you thought about running for athletic director of the University of Arkansas, John Nabors?
Hey, listen, I would bring back a lot more fun game day atmospheres. All right,
Let's do it.
I'd bring back some stuff, some good stuff.
Speaking of good stuff and selling them on a dream and everything, Alex Golesh might not have been the most sexy name in the coaching search, right? But the more I dug into him, the more I think you could sell people on that dream. Everywhere that dude goes, success has followed him. I mean, I don't know if you guys, he came over, he immigrated from Russia, fell in love with the game of football when he was 13 years old, started as an assistant coach, I think in college. He took Tennessee's offense from 108th in the country in scoring to 7th in 1 year. And then he took them from 7th to number 1. And then, okay, well, maybe that's just a fluke. He had Josh Heupel. He goes to USF. The Bulls, 33rd best scoring offense in the country 2 years ago, 33rd best last year. Then the jump came. They're top 5, top 10 for sure, but I'm pretty sure top 5 scoring offense this year. So if you're trying to sell people on Alex Golesh and an exciting offensive-driven team, I think you can do it. You just have to dig a little bit deeper. And we will also be digging a little bit deeper into this coaching search on the other side of this break.
Hog Zone with Locked On Razorbacks is sponsored by Bet Saracen, Arkansas's favorite sports betting app.
As an Arkansas sports guy, people often ask me why I talk so much about the Bet Saracen sports app. The answer? Of the 3 apps available in our great state, Bet Saracen is simply the best, and they're the largest. One of the reasons? Because I constantly have breakthrough special offers and unique parlays. Kind of like me doing a live TV commercial. That's pretty breakthrough too. And another Bet Saracen purse.
Welcome back into the season finale of Hog Zone with Locked On. Alex, Nick, John. Do you think the Hogs can break through, John, with good coaching hire? We got to sort of wrap up quickly here, even though there's plenty to talk about. I mean, you could fill a couple hours worth of head coaching banter back and forth. Do you think they get the right guy? And in your gut, who is that?
Well, I'm going to say it's Alex Golesh just because it's got the most smoke surrounding it. And if it is, I'm excited about that hire. You know why? Because other schools want him. To me, that's the biggest thing. It's like when you have players in recruiting, it's like, oh, well, who else offered him? Oh, well, he had these, mid-majors, these D2s. It's like, okay. Well, what if you found out that he got an offer from Alabama and LSU? It means a lot more. Same thing with this coaching search, because what we understand, at least from a lot of the reporting, Alex Golesh is looking at Ole Miss, maybe some Auburn interest. Would Florida come in and be interested? That's the type of thing that's what I want. That's what I think would be best. Anything after that is a settlement for me. It's not to say that if it's Kane Womack or whoever is a bad coach, won't work out, but as the initial hire, it just is going to come across as just settling for what's left over.
So, Nick, you agree with that? And if you do, you can give your reason why, but then who would maybe your second choice be building on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously second choice sounds like Kane Womack. I don't know if that would be my ideal second choice to pick out of all the candidates. It seems like the most realistic. And this is slightly taking a more pessimistic viewpoint than John, but I think if I was predicting it right now, I think Lane Kiffin does leave Ole Miss. Ole Miss becomes open. They offer him more money. He goes there. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I'd love to go with John's point and for that to be the case, for Golesh to be the next head coach for the Razorbacks. I lean towards saying it probably won't happen. Kane Womack could be that next guy. You pay him a little bit less and just hope that it pays off for you.
Well, why would you think that? Everything goes well for Arkansas in sports. Like, why would you think something bad would happen?
The word is almost.
See, that's
they
right.
almost
That
land
plan
the
is
guy
too
they
perfect.
want.
Exactly.
Now, something I really want to pick your guys' brains on just very quickly here at the end of the show. A name that sort of dropped off, but I felt a large groundswell of support behind the last couple weeks is Bobby Petrino. Is there any way, I mean, you look at the message boards, you look at comments on posts, and a lot of people are saying, you know, Bobby Petrino, heck yeah, we love you, give him support. Is there any scenario in which Bobby P sticks around?
The only way I would see it happening is if someone just came in, Walton, Tyson, and like, here's $100 million. You know, just something absurd when it comes to the amount of money. That's the only way. If he just would have won a game or two,
right?
But you can't give it to a guy that went 0-7. I love Bobby. I wish him nothing but the best. I wish it would have worked out for him. I really do. But I just don't think you can do it.
Yeah, I think there's a 0% chance. I don't know why people are still talking about that on the message boards and on social media.
He put out a note that basically said, "Hey, pieces, I'm out."
Yeah, and you can kind of tell that it's his time, and he did good things here when he was the head coach. As the interim head coach, I think he still did good things, even though he didn't win a game. Just how it is.
I know it was the longest of long shots, but the fans love him, and sometimes, every once in a while, rarely, that translates over into something. We got 30 seconds left here, guys, on the season finale of Hogs On with Locked On. We'll go down the table. John, the next head coach is?
Alex Golesh.
Alex Golesh.
There it is.
I'm going to make it 3 for 3. I'm going to say Alex Golesh is your next head coach, and you know what? You should be excited about it. So, hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we'll find out soon. For the final time this season, Alex Stewart, John Nabors, Nick Luttrell, thank you so much for joining us this year. We'll see you back here next season.